Perfect. Thanks everyone for being here. We'll probably give it one more minute, but in the meantime, just want to give a big shout out to our team here. We've got Zoe Argyropoulos Hunter, who's been working really hard on this, Amanda Monteroso, Chantaline Beausoleil, and Kareem Rostam is on a well-deserved vacation at the moment, but the team has been working really hard on creating a program that is reflective of where people are going in their careers and hopefully supportive as well. So the beauty about OMIC, my name is Melanie Brule. I'm the executive director. It's such a pleasure to be part of this organization. Just take a quick temperature here. Est-ce qu'il y a des francophones dans la salle qui parlent seulement en français et non en anglais? Si oui, je suis contente de le faire toute la session bilingue. Et sinon, on le fera peut-être juste en anglais. Laisse-moi savoir, tu peux te démuter ou dire quelque chose dans le chat si tu es francophone puis tu veux vraiment que l'information soit en français. Okay, I'm going to continue in English. Mais s'il y a quelqu'un qui a une question en français, feel free to go back and forth between both languages like I just did. So super stoked about this grant opportunity. It's thanks to Kinaxis and the city of Ottawa that we're able to do things like this. When we met with Kinaxis at the end of last year about what we were going to do this year with their investment, they invested into the Capital Music Awards, and they also, we host shows once a month there, and we do a sound crew mentorship as well. And they also wanted to put money directly into the hands of creatives in Ottawa. So a little bit of a background of how we created this program. One of the reasons that we chose to choose the music video production stream is that at our Capital Music Awards, which the nominations are going to open in the month of October this year, so keep an eye out on our newsletter for that. And if you haven't signed up yet, our new website has a really easy to navigate menu, so you can find our newsletter there. The music video of the year is a category that goes to vote. Not all of them do, but that one does. And we found that category has the most votes of any other that go to public vote. So I was having a look at that and thinking, wow, this is really interesting that there's a lot of engagement. So we really wanted to empower folks to have more high quality music videos. What does this mean? Does it mean a live video? Does it mean a lip synced video? Could be either one. I will say that I know from being a touring artist for 15 years that having high quality live music videos is really important. So if you're tossing up between doing a live video or a lip sync video and you don't have live footage that has live audio, very important. It's really great to have that in your back pocket for grant applications, for festival applications. Me as a booker, when we're doing the booking for the many series that we do, I usually don't book people unless I've either seen them live or I can see a live video that shows me the gist of what they do. So if you're not familiar with OMIC, if this is the first time you've sort of interacted with us, or if you haven't signed up to our newsletter or seen our brand new spanking website, we do a lot of really interesting things. So I'll just run through a couple of things that are happening in the next few months, and then we'll dig into this webinar here. So Dollars and Cents is a grant writing clinic where we have one-on-ones for grant advice that we offer to OMIC members and Digital Arts Resource Center members. So these are one-on-one sessions. I see that Emma Lamontagne is in the room with us. She is one of our facilitators, as is Kingsley Swim. So you can sign up. Tomorrow we're going to launch that, and they go really quickly. And so they're 40-minute sessions that you can talk to a grant writer and get some advice. So it can be, straight up like, I haven't applied for a grant before. Here's what I do. What do you think I might be eligible for? Or, hey, I have a grant in the works and I would love for you to have a look at what this looks like and give me some advice. So look out for that tomorrow. We also have a venue town hall happening for venue owners and operators. Feel free to spread the word. If you're not a venue owner or operator, but a friend of yours is, please let them know that on September 23rd, in person and hybrid from Arts Court and online, we're going to have a town hall to hear about what's going on with venues in a post-lockdown world. We really want to know what's happening, and this is like a closed session for just venue operators to chat about what's going on. Our nightlife commissioner Mathieu Grandin will be on site, and that's in partnership with the CLMA and the City of Ottawa. You can catch OMIC speaking on a panel about venues at Pop Montreal on September 28th if you happen to be in Montreal. I believe that's a free event. It's a free panel. They have a number of activities happening around their conference. We still have City Sounds live shows happening, free shows happening throughout the city. Spark Street, we're still Tuesday and Thursday lunchtime, as well as a Saturday evening for electronic artists and DJs. Those are all free shows. And we have a stage at the Byward Market, George Street Plaza this year on Thursdays from 5 to 7 too. All of that is on our programming link on our website. Most of those concerts are booked for the year. And so you'll see a new application form for applications for next year come up. We have so much talent in this city. It's like we're trying to give everybody a gig. And so just because you may have not gotten one this year, it doesn't mean that you're not talented. It just means that we have a lot of people to get through. And so hopefully with more and more concert series, right now we have hundreds of opportunities. And so we try to spread them out and be fair. You won't see the same artist playing 4 or 5 times in a season. You might not even see an artist play twice in a season because we are trying to spread it out there. So just know that if we haven't gotten to you this year and you've got some great talent, we are probably going to get to you next year. OMIC is also going to be on site at Folk Music Ontario in Mississauga from October 3rd to 6th. That's a folk music conference that has a lot of really interesting information, great contacts to be made there as well. And like I mentioned, the Capital Music Awards nominations and tickets are going to go live in October. So make sure you sign up to our newsletter to get first dibs on that, because that's going to be probably another like 3-week application process. And if you snooze, you lose. And that's how you get nominated. And you can nominate yourself for a Capital Music Award. I know people are all humble in this city, but sometimes that's the best way to get your name in front of interesting folks. So I always recommend, especially our nominations, it doesn't cost anything to nominate. Not the same deal as if you're, applying for the Junos, it's going to cost you money, but us, it doesn't cost you anything. So it's totally worth throwing your name in the ring and seeing what happens there, and if you might be nominated for a Capital Music Award. So please spread the word. We're going to have the location is going to be announced in October as well. Okay, so share my screen so you can see what's happening here. And we're going to start with the webpage for Music X Business. So I can't see the chat, but if you do have questions, we're going to leave 20 minutes at the end for a question answer. Staff is also watching the chat. So if there's something in the meantime that you want to ask in the chat, and maybe a staff member can answer it, or we'll wait until the end to answer more. So because I'm sharing my screen, I can't really see much at the moment. So please, Zoe or any other staff member, feel free to unmute and just chime in if you think I need to slow down or stop or anything. So this is our landing page for the Music X Business grants. The application deadline is September 4th at 5 p.m. Eastern time. You will not be able to apply after that. The form is going to close. You snooze, you lose. Now, I know a few people are going to ask a question here from the top. If I already applied and I'm watching this webinar and I'm seeing all this great information and I'm realizing that my application maybe isn't strong enough or up to par, can I reapply? The answer is yes. You can reapply. Reach out to Kareem at ottawamic.com and he'll be able to help you put a new application in the works. Okay, so let's dig into it. I'll let you guys read through this stuff. We're doing the webinar now, but there's a few points here that I'm going to touch on. Applicant eligibility. Who is this for, this grant? It's for anyone who is an OMIC member. You must be a registered member of OMIC. And if it's your first time being an OMIC member, you've never been an OMIC member before, you can access a promo code that lives in the submission form. So we'll get to that in a minute. But there's a promo code. I think maybe a staff member can probably pop it up. I think it's MXB24, all in caps. So you can get your first year of OMIC membership free. I should mention also that at any point in your career, if you're having financial trouble, an individual OMIC membership is $50 a year. For a band, it's 75. If you're a music organization, it goes a little bit higher than that, depending on what your annual income is or your budget is. But at any point in your career, if you're having financial hardship, you can always reach out to us and we will help you with your membership fee, either waive it for a year or give you a discount. We're super open. We would rather not have the financial barrier in the way. If it means not being a member, we would rather just waive that fee and have you be part of the family, because we're really here to build Ottawa's music ecosystem, and that means having you be a part of it. So who can apply for this? Anyone who is creative and wants to work with an Ottawa-based artist. It's really important that the music itself be, one, original, and two, be from an Ottawa-based artist. So that's 150 kilometers around the area, totally into rural. If you're in Gatineau, that's fine too. That's great. Does your project need to be in English? No, can be in French, can be in Swahili, can be in Spanish, whatever you're feeling. We really wanted to open this up to more than just artists. So if you're a music venue and you want to host an artist for a music video, we can absolutely do that. If you are a show promoter and you want to work with an artist for a video and put it out publicly, absolutely, we can do that too. If you're a videographer, know that we're going to limit the amount of videos done by any one videographer. So we're keeping an eye on that. There's no sort of set amount, I guess, that we've decided on, but you know, if we're giving out 25 grants, for example, and 23 of them are from the same videographer, that's not going to work. So make sure you're working with people that you know are interesting. Maybe chat with them if they are already in another application, because your team that you are applying with, one person is going to do the application, but the team should be aware when you're adding someone as a team member or as part of the project. They should absolutely be aware. One of the things that sometimes gets people into sticky trouble is that there is a jury that this is all peer assessed. And so there's a jury that looks at these applications and says, oh, I didn't realize that someone had put me in this application, but I never agreed to that. So make sure that all of the people that are working on this project with you are aware that you're putting their name in an application. Don't just name drop for the sake of it. Make it real, make it true. That makes for a stronger application. So you can buy video equipment if you want. You can rent a space. If you're not sure whether your funds are eligible or if your project idea is eligible, feel free to reach out to Amanda or Kareem. That's assistant@ottawamic.com or Kareem@ottawamic.com. This needs to be publicly available by July of next year, 2025. And audio and video must be high quality. That means that it needs to be high quality. So you can film something on an iPhone. That's absolutely acceptable. There's great iPhones now, or great, other softwares. But make sure that the audio is it's easy to hear, especially if it's a live video. You want to take that feed from the board. You don't just want to use the camera audio on like a Canon or something like that. It's usually not good enough. So make sure that everything is like to the best of your ability, right? Ineligible projects are pretty self-explanatory. And then if you get selected, when you get selected for funding, you need to make sure that it's publicly available by next year. And then you're going to fill out a recipient agreement, and you'll be required to fill out a final report. So just so you know, this is not just like, just get the money, that's it. No, you get the money and you keep in touch with us, because we want to make sure that things are going well. And so you're going to keep in close ties with us as time goes on. So I know that the first button here says apply now, but I highly recommend that you first start with Music X Business FAQ. So this is a page that goes deeper into what is happening, what are, the ins and outs of this grant. Goals to keep in mind, why and how this is important. So this is another thing with grants in general. What we want to do with this grant in particular is have it pretty accessible, but we also want to help you build a grant application so that if it's your first time building a grant application, you kind of get an idea what other grants are like too. And so with every line that you write, every statement that you write, you want to tell us why and how. I'm going to do this at venue X. Why venue X, and how are you going to make that happen? So just make sure that you're thinking about that with every statement that you make. Think about why and how. Demonstrate that your project is realistic, that it's going to make sense. Now, the amount that you can apply for is from $500 to $2,000. I know you might think, well, why would anyone apply for less than $2,000? This gets into the project viability. So if you're telling us that you're a brand new artist, you don't have any videos online yet, and you want to do this on your iPhone, and it's going to be your you and your brother is going to film it, and it's going to be just a solo thing, and it's going to be in your living room, and you're asking for $2,000. We need to know how you're going to spend that money and why it's important that you receive $2,000 to spend on this project. Maybe that makes more sense for you to get $500 so that you can get the software that you need, etc. So, if you're renting a venue, if you have actors in your music video, if you are hiring a sound technician, if you have an editor that's going to color grade your video, then your video is going to be a little bit more expensive. So also keep in mind that, if it's your first video, do you really want to spend a ton of money on a music video that isn't live? For example, there are just things to think about of like, how are you going to market this and how are you going to make it make sense? Is part of what you're going to spend this money on ads so that you can monetize? That's awesome. We want to see that. We want to hear about that. So let us know about all of that stuff. All of the project criteria is here, including OMIC's code of conduct. So you need to read this. Everybody needs to read this. This goes for anything that OMIC does, anything that is connected to OMIC. We have this policy for a reason. It's really important that we are all on the same page about how we interact with other people and with each other. And, you know, to me, it's pretty self-explanatory. But if you have any questions, we're always here to answer stuff about that. It's about honesty and integrity, really. So going back to the FAQs, when you're describing your project, tell us a lot of detail. You know, in the question, I'm just going to skip over here so you can see the questions here. But one of the questions is around describe your project and include a brief synopsis of the music video, complete list of collaborators, locations, equipment, goal, timeline, anticipated outcomes. You should be answering all of those questions in here, and the maximum is 500 words. So if you're putting just one line in there, there's a good chance that we're not going to understand the scope of your project. So you really want to think about it from the perspective that, like, someone is going to read this that doesn't know you. And so how can you explain as best as possible what it is that you're thinking about doing? So get into the details. Why and how. Again, why and how is that important? I'm going to do that at this location because, you know, it showcases Ottawa. Also think about something to think about if you're doing different locations. For example, I want to film in front of Parliament. Do you need a license for that or a permit for that? You might. So make sure that you've thought about all of these things and you're making a project that is going to be significant for you and your career, and that's going to have an impact on the Ottawa music industry, right? So this is our way of sort of flattening the line a little bit between really established artists and new artists. So I'm going to go through the juror score sheet with you at the end, but you're going to see that we've evened the game a little bit so that it's not just, oh, well, these really established artists that are good at writing grants and have a million videos online are going to get the grants. We've purposely done a juror score sheet and everything is very transparent with OMIC. We try to be as transparent as possible. And so the whole point is to help new people get into the industry, help people midway through their career get to the next step. And same with, you know, maybe an established artist wants to export into another market for the first time. So we're really like flattening that sort of bar a little bit. That makes sense for everyone. So again, the project collaborators, tell us the names, tell us how they're involved. You know, just be honest with everything too. You know, if it's your brother that's a really great sound technician and he's just getting into the industry or wants to get into the industry, if it's a new person, that's great, that's fine. Just give us the context. We want to know context and scope. Why and how is it important for this? It doesn't, again, mean that anyone who is not experienced isn't going to get the work or isn't going to get the grant. We just need to know why it's important that those people are working with you and how it's going to impact your project, how it's going to impact the city of Ottawa and the music industry here. The budgeting it's really important for you to understand what it is that you're spending this money on and why that's important again. So, you know, anything from editing and videographers and buying equipment. I mean, there's probably tons of ideas that you guys have for your project that you'd like to spend this money on, marketing, for example, and things that we can't even think of because you're so creative and you're involved in your project. So let us know as much detail as you can while keeping it under the proper word count. Another thing that's important is that Kinaxis and OMIC need to be acknowledged in this project. So you need to be able to explain how you're going to put a logo on this video or a watermark. You're going to, you know, include in tags and descriptions, in social media posts, etc. There might be some creative ways that we haven't even thought about that you want to acknowledge OMIC and Kinaxis's support. But it's important to know that that is part of this grant. And so that's going to be part of the requirements in the final report. So how will you be scored? This is very transparent. This is exactly what's happening on the score sheet, and I can show you here. So this is what the jury will get. They will get a document that has everything collated in the same place. Your lyrics are very important there too, so that we know what song you're choosing and what the lyrics are. Okay, people are going to ask, hey, I have a couple of swear words in my application or in this song. How do you guys feel about that? Well, I always say within reason. If it's like N words and F words in your whole chorus, there's a good chance that that's not going to get funded. If it's a one-off and there's like a reason for the context, you know, if most of your stuff has explicit lyrics, maybe just be choosy about this, because if you're doing a live video and you want to pitch to festivals, like, do you have a clean set? Anyway, just stuff to think about as you're going. I don't want to, you know, crush creativity, but I also just like, you know, we don't need to fund that song. Maybe you have another song that makes a little bit more sense. I'm going to go back to the juror template here. So the project, this is what they're going to answer, the jury. So we've got 10 jurors that are going to assess all of these applications, and they're all going to score your applications. So they're going to listen to your support material. They're going to read everything in your application. They're going to think to themselves, is this project, the vision, the song, and the lyrics, are they all original? And would they result in an engaging final product? Original meaning, yes, original that it has come from you and you have the license and the permit, you have permission to reproduce that song. If there's any samples in there, you need to have license for that. That's unfortunately something that we can't look over, and it's important in the music industry in general. If you're using a sample, make sure that you have clearance for it. So is it interesting? Is it engaging? Is it something that does the jury like the song and find it interesting? The next question is, this project has a positive impact on the Ottawa music industry and or its members. So, you know, do you want to film at different iconic locations pending you have the rights and permits, et cetera, to do that? And that's up to you to look into. You know, or do you want to do it at some sort of iconic venue? Are you doing it in your living room? And is there a reason for that? How can you explain all of that in your grant application, that it's important for me to do it in this location, and here is why? The applicant and their collaborators clearly have the experience to complete this project. So this is where you want to explain that, you know, if it's your brother or sister that's going to be the videographer, you want to explain how they have the experience to do this. Well, they just got out of this class, so they know, you know, they're wanting to explore more, and they scored really highly, and this is part of a school project. Or is it someone who is very established in the video, music video scene in Ottawa, and you can say, you can clearly point to that person. Now, again, you want to have your people confirmed, or at least have started conversations with them when you do an application. Don't put names in here for people that you want to work with, but you haven't reached out to yet. You have to reach out. If you're going to put anybody's name in an application, they need to know about it. They need to consent to you putting their name in an application. The project goal, timeline, and anticipated outcomes are realistic and reflect the applicant's vision. So what are you aiming to get out of this video? What do you want this to do for your career? How long is it going to take you? Is that realistic? Are you wanting this first video that you've ever released to get you a gig at Osheaga? I mean, if you can prove how you're going to do that and the people that are going to help you get to that point, then great. But keep it realistic. And have goals for your career, and how does this going to fit into your goals for your career. If I'm saying goals for your career and you're like, I don't know what my goals for my career are, maybe have spend a few hours thinking about what are your goals for your career, even this year or in the next few years. Do you want to start touring? Do you want to apply to festivals? Do you want to monetize on YouTube? Do you want to XYZ? Like, what is it that you want to do? What are the goals? And how is it reflected in here? I think somebody's mic is just making a little bit of noise. We'll have an open question session soon. So if you don't mind just muting for the time being, thanks. I'm going really fast with information, hey guys, so I'm gonna take a minute here and take a breath, but I hope you're getting good info here. So then the last question is also really, really important. Receiving this grant would clearly advance the applicant's career within the music industry. So this is where we're putting everyone on an even playing field. If you are an established artist, why is it important that this music video be funded by OMIC and Kinaxis, and why is it important that you do this now? Are you someone that hasn't had a release in a while and this is going to help launch something else for you? Are you brand new and you've never had a video come out? That's important. Put that information in the application. Are you midway through your career and you want to cross over into a different genre? Are you, wanting to start a new project with backup singers for the first time ever? Are you a hip hop artist that has been doing stuff with backing tracks, but you want to try something with a live band instead and start pushing in that direction? These are all ways, these are all interesting ideas, and you probably have a ton more. So make sure that all of this is in your application. So this is what the jury is scoring out of 5 points for each of these. At the end of it, we'll have numbers for everyone, and then we'll put them in an order and see how many we can fund. So realistically, how many will we be able to fund? Certainly not as many as have applied. So the first thing we're going to do is go through all of the applications and see if everyone is eligible. If you are not a member in good standing at OMIC, unfortunately, you are not eligible. You are able to, if your membership has lapsed, you can renew in the portal. Again, if you're having any financial hardship, let us know. We're happy to waive the fee. If you are a new member and you've never been an OMIC member before, you can sign up for free. The code is in the application form here when you click it here. It's capital MXB24. So there's some information on OMIC membership. We talked about, what projects might be eligible for funding. Is this your first music video? Yep, you're totally eligible. Shooting on your phone there. What can we use it for the funding for? What projects are not eligible? If you're a videographer and you want to do a video with an artist that does not live in 150 kilometers around Ottawa, you are unfortunately not eligible. It needs to be an Ottawa-based team, and the artist especially needs to be from Ottawa. If you want to bring somebody in from out of town to shoot your music video in Ottawa, that is eligible, but let us know why it's important. This is in the why and how again. Let us know why it's important for that person to come in from out of town. I will tell you that the jury will look more favorably on money that is spent within Ottawa because we're always trying to keep money in our own ecosystem, right? So if it's important that this person come from Toronto, Vancouver, whatever, and you want to pay for their flights with that money, you just need to make a good case for why and how that is important. So again, if you have questions, you can contact Kareem at ottawamic.com. You can also contact Amanda, assistant at ottawamic.com. And again, the deadline is September 4th at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So let's go through this this application form just very quickly here. There's, you'll see anything with an asterisk is necessary, and the rest is optional. That said, the more you can fill out, the better. So let us know if you're an artist, a videographer, a venue owner, or other. If you let us know that you're other, please be specific. Be as specific as possible with everything here. You might not have the whole thing planned out, but I'm sure if you sit down for a couple hours and really think about it, you can probably get a lot more details than just like popping something in just for the sake of popping something in. Pronouns, just so that we know how to address you. Are you an OMIC member? Yes, no. You know that if you're not an OMIC member, then you're not eligible. So you need to sign up for OMIC membership so that you can click the yes box there. Tell us what city and your address, the email for correspondence, the email that we can e-transfer you on, phone number, and there we go. So now we get into the nitty gritty. Give us the lyrics for the song. If there's any explicit lyrics in there, again, it's fine. Just put all of the lyrics in there. And provide a streamable link to the song that you want to use for your project. This doesn't mean that the song needs to be released yet. It just means that we do not want to have bulky, WAV files in our computers. So pop your song on a SoundCloud private link. This is all free to do. Pop it on a Google Drive private link. Just make sure that we are able to access it. And so if we need to have a password or anything, put it in your answer here. It can be a song that's already been released. Absolutely. If you haven't had a music video for it yet, I mean, think about how a jury is going to think about this. If you're asking for a music video for a song that was released 10 years ago, why and how? Why is it important that you re-release that song now? And how is this going to affect your career? So this is probably the juiciest question here, and it's thoroughly describe your project. Include the synopsis, the list of collaborators and what they do, locations that you're going to shoot at, equipment you're going to use, the goal and the timeline, and your anticipated outcomes. Anticipated outcomes could be, well, I really hope to book this festival or book more festivals, or I hope to, I hope to monetize on YouTube. I hope to, release a song in Japan because it's a target market of mine that my team and I are working on. Or I want to start pitching because I need a booking agent. And this is a good way for me to have a live video to go out and find booking agents. Or, I have a new album coming out and I'm wanting to pitch or shop labels. There's so many reasons and outcomes that you might want to have for this project. And, just be specific and be creative like you are already. Describe previous experience that will impact the successful completion of your project. Now, this is important. Tell us how are we going to know if we've never met you, and if the jury has never met you, how are you going to tell them that you are going to get this done and it's going to be successful? Because the worst case scenario for us is that we approve your project, and then by July 31st of 2025, your video isn't released publicly and you have to give us the money back. That sucks. We don't want that to happen. So we want to make sure that we're giving money to people that are definitely going to get this project done. How would the completion of the project further your career? We talked a lot about that already. You can ask for 500, 1,000, 2,000. Again, make sure that it makes sense with the scope of your project. You don't have to go big right away. If you can get this stuff done, and you can throw a little bit of your own money in there too, then that's great. How do you intend to spend these funds? Let us know. If you're putting any of your own money in there, that's important information. Then we know that you are invested in your career as well. Are you going to do this project with or without OMIC funding? Is it like, well, if I don't get this funding, I'm not going to have a video at all? Or are you going to like try to find money in different ways? Let us know all these things. These are really important. We want to know that you are invested in your career. And then the last is just like, do you agree to release something publicly? So that means that it can be on your website, it can be on YouTube, it can be on Vimeo, any of those online platforms. And I'm sure there are more that I'm not even thinking of. And we're not talking about like a 20-second TikTok clip here. We're talking about a full song, one full song, at least 2 minutes long. Do you agree to have a final report sent to us? Yes. Do you agree to recognize Kinaxis and OMIC support? I hope so, because that's necessary. And then how do you intend to recognize Kinaxis and OMIC support? Are you going to put a logo on your on a screen? Are you going to put a watermark through the whole thing? How are you going to recognize Kinaxis and OMIC support? And then this is really just optional. We just want to have an idea of who we're engaging with. If we're seeing that, everybody that is applying is a youth under 30, but nobody is mature over 50, then we just know that we need to do a little bit of outreach in that area. So if you're comfortable, please identify yourself, and always an other there for however you want to word it that makes sense for you. And then we're linking to social media channels. If you don't have one, that's okay. Pop in whatever you have there. And then you agree to read the code of conduct. And in here, this is a good question too. Is there anything else you'd like OMIC to know? If there's anything that falls into your project that hasn't been included in there, let us know. We want to know all the things. So that's about it for the formulaire, the submission form. If you get to this point and you're like, hang on a minute, this grant is not for me, that's okay. We have a whole list of resources on our brand new webpage. So if you go to this resources page and you scroll down to industry and community resources, you'll be able to see funding. That'll just take you to the top part of this page and you can scroll down a little bit. If you want to know more about mental health resources, that'll scroll you down to there. This is a really great page. It's massive, you guys. Like there's so much. We try to put as much as possible across the whole country. So have a look there. There are other funders. You can scroll through their applications and their programs. City of Ottawa, Arts Network Ottawa, Ottawa Arts Council, Ontario Arts Council, Ontario Creates, like it just keeps going. So, again, if the grant application stuff is something that you guys want to get into, know that tomorrow we are launching the dollars and cents one-on-ones with grant writers. And I think there are something like 8 slots per month. And you're allowed 1 per year as an OMIC member to connect with one of these grant writers. If that 40 minutes isn't enough with that grant writer, you can always organize with the grant writer to have another session on your own dime. But OMIC is willing to pay for this facilitator for you to spend 40 minutes with them. So on that note, speaking a million miles a minute, I know that is a ton of information. And thanks for listening to it all. I'm going to open it up here. I haven't been looking at the chat, so I suspect that the team has been answering what they can. So I'm going to have a look here and say, how bound are we by what we include in our application? For example, let's say there's a location change after your project has been funded. Is that all right? Yes, it's all right. Let's just make sure that you are able to explain in your final report why that change was made, and how that affected your project. So if this change is going to have a domino effect and change a whole bunch of things, then, if it was really, if your application was based around this location and you had to change the location, that's something that you're going to want to keep in touch with us with as well to make sure that that's okay. So yeah, talk to your grant officer, which is Kareem at Ottawamic.com. I am going to just scroll up here for some of the questions. I think we're okay. Okay. Are instrumental pieces eligible? Are songs with vocals and lyrics a better idea for a stronger application? Thanks for that question, Kate. If you have an instrumental piece, that's totally fine. If that's part of your project and that's what you do, 100% that's okay. Just put not applicable instrumental in the lyric part. Is there going to be stronger applications? I think we're looking at the application as a whole, right? So if your piece, your instrumental piece is really amazing and you've written a really great grant application and the instrumental piece fits into your project and your goals and your strategy of music and your career, and you can explain that within there, I don't see why that would have a hindrance on you at all. So if anybody wants to ask a question in person, or à haute voix, if you want to ask it out loud, just raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer through the chat here. Will live off the floor video applications take priority? Not necessarily. Thanks for the question, Zach. Not necessarily. It's really about the application again as a whole. So is live off the floor important for you in your career right now? Or is it more important to have a lip sync video? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to get out of this video is really the most important thing. So, for some people that might be a live off the floor video. For some people that might be being able to monetize and really crack through something new. Like, are you using this to do some interesting internet marketing that's going to help your career? Like, that's what we're really thinking about here. So one thing that everybody should know is that the Ottawa Music Industry Coalition is an economic development organization. We are funded by economic development. So that means that we want you to succeed in your career for your own economic benefit and as well as for the city of Ottawa. We're at the intersection of economic development and of cultural. So they're both important to us, but we want to make sure that this is helping your career in the long run. So you've got organizations across Canada and in Ontario. For example, Canada Council and Ontario Arts Council, those are cultural funding organizations. And then you have organizations like Factor and OMIC that are, and Ontario Creates, that are economic development driven. So you just want to know who you're applying to at the time and what is the mandate of the organization that is funding you. So that's an important thing for any grant in general. But have a look at who is this organization? What is their mandate? So that you can look at how your application falls in that. OMIC's mandate is to grow the music ecosystem in Ottawa. So how is your project going to help that? That is going to, that's going to help your application in the long run. We have a question from Nick. Go ahead, Nick Cooper.
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Sure can.
Beautiful. So my question has to, I'm very new to the area. As a musician and the artist, I'm very new to the scene and I've only just applied. I'm a new member of OMIC. And so thankfully I know a videographer in the area and I've just released my debut album. But as far as musicians go, again, I'm very new to the area and I have a band back where I'm from in Niagara and Toronto. So my question is, if I am a member of the scene here, I am based here now firmly. The videographer is also based here. As far as the musicians go, I think it'd be about three or four musicians. If they were from out of town, does that disqualify me? And therefore, I have to look for a band in the area.
No, it doesn't disqualify you. The artists themselves. So if you're releasing under Nick Cooper, then you need to be based in Ottawa. If you are a band called the OMICs, then we'll kind of look at how many people in the band are based in Ottawa and how many are out of town. Like we get it, we're all artists that work here and are involved in creative work somehow. So we get it that like maybe not all your band members are going to be in the same place at the same time. But if you are now based in Ottawa and you are an OMIC member, then you are totally eligible for that. So yes, you can bring, your band members in from out of town. Would it make for a stronger application if you were able to include somebody from Ottawa in your band? Maybe. Are you thinking about building a band in Ottawa and do you want to include that in your application? That might make for a strong application too. If you were saying like, hey, I'm new to the city, but like, I mean, you've got until July to release this video, right? So you're like, hey, I've been here for about a month and a half and interacting with OMIC for the first time. I'm planning on getting band members from Ottawa, but I just haven't connected with them yet. Just explain your why and how there. Like, how are you going to connect with band members in Ottawa? I'm going to sign up to these networking events. I'm going to sign up to these Facebook groups. I'm going to go to X, Y, and Z. And, my intention is to build a band in Ottawa. That could be a thing. It could also be like, hey, I've been playing with this band for a long time and I really want them to experience what's happening in Ottawa. And I want them to connect with the community here. That's also part of our mandate. We're growing the ecosystem. So we're encouraging people to discover what's happening in Ottawa. So is this going to help spread the word about cool things that are happening in Ottawa? There's absolutely a case to be made for that. So I think as long as you're just explaining it based on OMIC's mandate and like, how is this going to benefit Ottawa? I think you're in the clear. Does that answer your question, Nick?
Beautifully, thank you. And I appreciate the approach too, because yeah, introducing musicians to the area would be, I hadn't really thought of it quite that way, but that makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Yeah, and welcome to the city. We're so happy that you're here. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in Ottawa. And one of the things that we're trying to do is encourage people to come to Ottawa and not miss us on the Toronto to Montreal loop, right? So the more artists that we have playing at venues here from out of town, looking for openers, local openers, it's helpful for our ecosystem and it's helpful to export our talent out of the city eventually too. So it's all part of the game. I'm going to take this question online here. Thanks for putting this info session, helpful and informative. Glad it has been. Do you have any thematic restrictions or preferences you're looking for in terms of lyric, song, subject matter? Some of my band songs are more serious or dark, mental health struggles. We're just wondering if they're okay to submit for this. I mean, you guys are the creators. How and why does this relate to your career, and how is it going to benefit either Ottawa or the world, right? So, I put out a lot of music that had to do with mental health, struggles and advocacy and bringing light to mental health stuff. And I think it's absolutely important. So, how are you going to make sure that it has a positive impact on your career and on the world? So if it's like, if it's a sad boy record or, an entire whatever, how does that relate to who you are and what you're trying to do? So as long as you're explaining it properly, or to the best of your ability so that people understand that like, this is part of my thing, especially around mental health stuff, like, do you connect with the Canadian Mental Health Association? Do you have any sort of fundraising activities that happen around mental health? How is mental health part of your career as a whole? And why is it important that that's part of what you're doing? So I think that, again, coming back to the why and the how. Um, Rohan, I hope that answers your question. And if not quite, please feel free to expand on that in the chat there. David McCallum, you're up.
Hi. Pardon me. Thanks very much. This has been really informative, by the way. And all the information coming our way is great too, and the notes. I just want to clarify, like the audio portion, like the way you described it. You can put it on SoundCloud or on a Google Drive, but it says in the criteria that it must be submitted high quality. But the way you were describing, I think I kind of heard that it could be kind of a draft submittal, or what like if I give you the lyrics and give you a sort of a draft song, is that like it won't, or not as polished, or it's more ideal to have it polished or finished? Does it have to be finished? That's the main.
That's an interesting question, David. Honestly, it's something that comes up with many grant applications. And that's why you end up getting a whole bunch of artists doing what they call a demo, but is like pretty much almost finished. You get this, especially with Factor when people are applying. And technically, a demo should be okay. That said, you're competing with other people in this whatever the bell curve is, right? So then it becomes this sort of it's a competition clearly. So how are you going to stand out amongst the rest? If this is a demo, can you explain in your application how the song is going to be different from the final product? Okay, so this is a demo, but I'm going to add a full string section live. I'm also going to put horns in there. And these are the people that are going to do that for me. And then I'm going to get it mixed and mastered, by this Juno nominated a sound engineer, and this is what's going to happen? Or is the song that you are applying for as is? This is exactly what you're going to hear. Any information about that is great. And again, explaining why and how in a way that we can be like, oh, okay, I can hear the bones of this. And in that section of like, do you want OMIC to know anything else? David, if you're like, hey, I have released like 2 records before this, and this is the level of artistry that I'm known for, and this is a new record, and I'm trying something new out, but I'm not quite there yet, but I really want this to happen. So how can you just like kind of explain a little bit more again about like how do you have the experience to pull off what you're saying you're going to pull off? So if you're going to add anything to your song and it's not quite ready yet, just be very clear about explaining that in the grant application. Zach, I see a question from you, but I'll let you say it out loud if you like.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to raise my hand, so that's why but yeah, I'm involved in 2 projects, and they could both benefit from the opportunity, and just wanted to know if it'd be frowned upon to apply on behalf of both of them.
Not necessarily. But if you have a band email address, that might be helpful, because it may look like one person is applying for 2 projects. So if you have like, if you have if there are 2 different bands, or if it's a solo project and a band, use 2 different email addresses, and that way we can just make sure that it's like an eligible thing. So if it's 2 different projects, that's fine. Yeah.
Cool. Can I ask one more thing?
Yeah, totally.
And in terms of like putting OMIC's name and Kinaxis in the video, does it matter if it's at the beginning or the end? Like, is that gonna sway? Nothing.
No, it doesn't really matter, as long as we know that you are looking at that as something of importance.
Sure.
And then the more you can expand on that too, if you're like, hey, and we're also going to do this thing, and we're going to launch it on a Facebook Live, and we're going to, mention Kinaxis and stuff, or we're going to do like a video commentary. Get creative. You guys have all of these options for interacting and engagement, right? So like the strongest applications are going to be the ones that like, hey, and here's how we're going to show that we are proud members of OMIC and we're thankful for Kinaxis, and how we're going to kind of launch all that together. Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
Is there anything that I haven't answered in the chat here, team? We're getting to wrap up the end. If you have any additional questions, again, Kareem and Amanda are your go-tos there. Kareem at ottawamic.com and assistant at ottawamic.com. The recording, I think we're going to pop on our website on the MXB page. That give us a few hours at least, maybe even by tomorrow morning kind of thing. Yeah, you'll be able to access that. You know, if you don't have an hour, I'm gonna give you guys this one for free. If you guys don't have an hour to rewatch the video and you want to run the video through AI and get a synopsis of that, so that you can keep that open while you're putting your filling out your application, not a bad idea. No, it can absolutely be in French. All of the forms, everything online, c'est tout dans les deux langages. So, tu peux absolument faire une demande en français, absolument pas de problème. On l'encourage, en fait. I will tell you that right now we don't have a lot of applications from women and gender non-conforming folks. So if that's you or if that's friends of yours, please do apply. We want to make sure that everybody's getting a good chance here. And I am super excited to see what comes of this. It's so great to be able to like give money to creatives to do fun stuff. I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with in terms of synopses and or storyboard or storylines or how this is going to impact your career. And we really want to help catapult some of that stuff to happen. So good luck to everyone. You know how to reach us now if you have any more questions. And September 4th at 5 p.m. That's in next week? That's a week from today. So spread the word and bonne chance tout le monde. Have a great long weekend and we'll talk to you soon.